Hello you, and welcome to the last Daily Rundown of the week with me, strangely, Paul Burgess. Thank you for watching Channel 7. The Daily Rundown is the show where we look at all of the day's big stories and some of the littler ones too. But first, let's welcome tonight's guests who will be helping us to make sense of it all, we hope. First dates goddess Jackie Wright is with us on the sofa. And co-founder of the Open Intelligence think tank, it's Loz Kay.
Good to be back on the Blue Bonquette of news again.
It's nice to have you.
It is a Blue Bonquette.
It's the first time you've been on together, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I'm very cosy here in the heart of Ancoats.
And I've never been the host of this show when you've been a guest.
No, you haven't.
You're normally on Now We're Talking with me, aren't you, darling?
Yeah.
But it's nice to be here. You know, it's nice to be here. And you can get involved in the show too, because it's not just about us three old birds. We're as interactive as you can get here on Telebox. Join in the conversation on Twitter by tweeting at the Daily Rundown, or at the very least, give the page a follow. We might even follow you back if you're interesting, or in my case, if you're handsome. First story, junior doctors have planned a series of 5 strikes this month and plan to stage strikes every month until the issue is resolved. This comes after the British Medical Association rejected a new contract by the government this summer. The all-out strikes will take place from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. from the 12th to the 16th of September, with more expected to follow. BMA said members were opposed to the new contract which was being imposed. Prime Minister Theresa May said the contract being imposed on junior doctors was safe and urged them to put patients first. Give me all of your opinions.
Yeah, well, what do we think? Well, the main thing about this is it's really a failure of management, because this has been going on so long. This whole dispute with the junior doctors, and this is down to Jeremy Hunt.
Yeah,
it's absolutely really what this is, because it's about contracting. It's that you have to get the contract together, and also that it's been a kind of constant failure to be able to negotiate properly, and that's been the difficulty. I think there's been some really disgraceful stuff today, which has been accusations of junior doctors that they're playing politics. I don't think they're playing anything. Let's remember these are professionals that take what they do incredibly seriously, and they would not go on strike lightly. And also there's another thing about the whole sort of junior doctors title. It kind of, in a way, sort of brings up kind of images of, that show Scrubs, and it's kind of young people, but also junior doctors. Some of them are in charge of life or death decision making, and they're also even able to do surgery. So this is really important. That they've been flagging up safety concerns about the contract. So I think Jeremy Hunt has actually got to get back to the negotiating table, but it's essentially his failure of management that we're here again.
You said exactly what I was going to say. My daughter's starting her second year at medical school, and she says exactly the same. They don't want to put anybody in danger. So all this accusation of they want to think of the patients first, they are thinking of the patients first by objecting to the new contracts, because the new contracts would not be safe for patients. So they are putting the patients first.
So what are the elements of this new contract? For anyone watching at home who's not aware, the elements of the new contract that would be detrimental to doctors, it's the hours of work, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all very much focused on what Jeremy Hunt had this slogan of the 7-day NHS. Well, there is a 7-day NHS.
Yeah.
They work right the way through, and they work very hard. I mean, also during the kind of strikes, junior doctors were tweeting, well, here we are, we're at work, Jeremy Hunt, where are you?
Yeah.
And essentially it's about how the rotas and also the staffing is put together. Now, there was a survey in London, for example, it's also actually 3/4 of the respondents of junior doctors said that also the way that our rotas are put together is irresponsible, and it's putting people in danger. So that's where the danger is coming from, it seems to me, to how you put that together.
It is. We've already got a 7-day NHS, so I don't know why he's trying to implement a 7-day NHS when we've already got one. But the contract he wants to implement is going to put us at risk. It won't put Jeremy Hunt at risk because he'll go private. He'll never be in our position waiting for operations or anything like that. The rest of them will be going private. So he should understand what it's like for people who rely on the NHS for their operations and everything else, that it's all about keeping patients safe, and that's why the doctors are striking.
Well, one of the things that came out about the 7-day NHS idea, and also particularly about the conditions at weekends, was it's also something that's been kind of controversial for actually a few years now, because also it was said that it's actually more dangerous to be admitted at the weekend. So essentially this was interpreted wrongly by the Department of Health, that also actually we need to do something about this. But it's actually about how you take the statistics, because the point is that actually there are more, that people are proportionally sicker who are admitted in the weekends, and also proportionally there's not the everyday admissions during the day, so you can't compare the two. So it was one of those things that also that was debunked some time ago, that there was also some kind of crisis that needs to be sort of fixed. There are management issues about how weekends are dealt with, but also there's a major fallacy that's been right at the heart of this right along, and which has also been dismissed some time ago. But also Jeremy Hunt has been stubbornly refusing to listen to kind of reason about that.
It would seem that way.
Yeah. So essentially that's where this kind of the talk of the 7-day NHS has come from. But we've suddenly ended up with a situation where also there's contracts being imposed. And that's, of course, it's a very dangerous situation.
If that contract is imposed, a lot will leave. A lot will go and work abroad. They'll leave the NHS.
How's if you say your daughter's in the second year of med school, how's she feeling right now, considering that all this has been going on for quite a few months now, and it's been up and down and there's been no resolution? Well,
she said the same. It's like exactly what you've just said. The doctors all agree on the same thing. It's an unsafe contract for everybody, unsafe contract. And they'll just leave. They'll just leave the NHS and work for other people, go private.
And this is also one of the major issues, is also staffing anyway. There is already pressure on staffing. That's one of the reasons why there's problems with filling the rotas safely. But also, if you're creating a situation where also people are feeling that they're pressured into a working situation that they don't want, well, of course they're going to leave, or they're going to want to find another alternative. So it's actually making it worse.
It is making it worse.
But it's also part of the kind of broader situation in terms of a kind of massive miscalculation in terms of the funding for the NHS. Because if we just think back to the general election in 2015, that the Tories were saying we're going to pledge an extra £8 billion a year to plug the funding gap, and then that's how it was kind of described at the time. That's what voters were told. It was about the pledges were made to pledge to fill that gap, but clearly that's not happening, because also we're seeing pressure on services right across. I mean, we're seeing already in kind of within Bury, for example, Bury and Prestwich, we're looking at walk-in centres being closed. Vital
some services are being closed now.
Yeah, absolutely. So vital services are under threat. So I think this is also very much part of a bigger picture, and also and I think NHS is one of the things that people are really deeply concerned about.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's because it's about it's our health, and I certainly don't want to go into a situation like in America. You know, it's that's.
Oh no, that would be just horrific, wouldn't it? I mean, they pay. I've seen bills for someone who's gone in with a cut on their knee, and it's $12,000 later. For sutures and treatments, and
but they'll have some sort of insurance scheme that you pay into.
I know, but when you're used to,
you're not going to be paying $12,000, are you? You'll be paying into some sort of insurance scheme.
Yeah, but still, when you're used to not seeing that cost, because it's hidden from us largely, isn't it? We pay our national insurance contributions, and everything is is paid for, kind of.
Yeah, and it's particularly that principle of free at the point of use, which is actually the vital thing in terms of NHS. And I think that was interesting. I mean, if anybody was kind of watching the report from earlier on that's Manchester, is that's what also doctors on the picket line were talking about, and saying it's also these principles that we're here to defend. That this is not just about our wages or our working conditions. I think that's also, and I think they've been quite unfairly portrayed as being selfish in certain parts of the press. No, this is actually about the principle of what kind of service we want to have. We're happy to work hard and also study hard to be part of that, to provide that. But also when we feel that's being taken away, also it must be incredibly demoralising, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right there. It is demoralising, which is why we're going to have another strike. So we'll see what happens after that.
You know what really scares me about this whole NHS thing, I'll say this very quickly because we've got a break to go to, is that considering what happened after Brexit and all the talk about the possibility of people from Europe being sent back if they're not in a certain earning bracket, and people wanting to get out just because of the atmosphere over here, with that and this, our NHS could crumble at any point, and all we can do is sit down, watch it happen, because none of us have got the power to do anything. It's crazy. Time for a quick break now, but the three of us will be back in just a couple of minutes, so please don't go away. See you in 3, back on the Daily Rundown.